Not gonna lie, I'm pretty exhausted right now. I'm hoping this, pumps a lot of energy into me. I'm hoping they give us something spectacular to witness here, as we have a lot of stuff coming together, and a lot of battles about to begin, as it appears. So, I'm assuming we should be getting some hype, right? And I should be getting some energy. That's what I'm hoping for. Now, we still could get that, and I might just not get any because I'm dead inside right now. I don't know. But I'm hoping that this will be the spark that I need to get my day moving a bit more here. So hopefully things kind of go that way. Been seeing lots of people on like Twitter and stuff talk about this week it seems like it's gonna be Yuji's fight. That's what I've been seeing. So I'm assuming that's what's gonna happen, unfortunately. I wish I didn't have to see all of them, but they show up. Like I don't know what more I can do. Gonna ask me to stay off of Twitter? That's not happening. I'm sorry, it's just not happening. So we unfortunately, see some stuff like that, but it's nothing too big, right? It really isn't. So excited though. If you like it all, like and subscribe to it on to me. Feel free to stick around for the discussion. Leave any comments about this episode or series. This is also going to get blocked by Toho. I keep forgetting to say that, as they've done with like every other episode before. So if you're watching this probably like 2 or 3 weeks late and you still want to check it out, there's going to be a link in the description for you to still check out the reaction portion on there. All I ask is if you use that, please come back and just hit the thumbs up or something. I pay too much money that I don't end up making back through this channel to be able to keep the videos up on that platform. So it would just be nice, to let me know it's kind of worthwhile. Let's get going that with episode 13. Like an album. Essentially, I felt the entirety of the season was going to kind of be that. For whatever reason, my ideas going into this arc was that. So basically, to really kickstart things, I think that's an excellent way to really do it. Now, of course, there had to be some build up and things that they got into in these previous episodes and stuff till then. But I assumed once we get to this point, which we have hit now, it'll be like that for a majority of what's to come. Which is kind of what I hope. I'm not expecting, I guess, the same quality all the way through, because of course there's going to be certain things that are prioritized over others, clearly, as this was over like every episode that came before, at least within this arc. It's definitely, noticeable on that front, but I'm expecting more of that at some point, which is a good sign and a enjoyable one for us to see. The entirety of the episode is focused around Itadori and Choso and their fight that they basically have. And that's essentially all that happens, which is not a bad thing at all, but that's kind of the position that they put us in. They made some very interesting decisions and ways that they kind of went about sequencing the fight, and the way that they kind of just presented it by different uses of lighting and different styles, stuff they were doing with the animation. So everything turned out pretty cool. Because there's not too much that really happened, I guess you could say, outside of all that, we're just going to go through the episode, and I'll talk about some of the things that I liked as they kind of came about. The intro sequence is really fun for us to be able to kind of see the arrival to this meeting that we ended up seeing at the last episode, and being able to like kind of fully flesh that out, which is cool. I talked about as well the idea that cities are so like cool of environments for you to be able to use, which is something that feels underutilized, at least from the things that I've kind of witnessed. Just the atmosphere that you can really get from it. It's something that like Edge Runners does such a spectacular job at, really bringing out that vibe when you're inside of the city, which is something that you kind of miss out on, I feel like, in a lot of other things. Maybe because the parts of town and stuff that you're in other shows and aren't as vibrant and full of life. Whereas something a major city like this actually is. I don't think it matters. Regardless, I would just like to see more fights and more things within kind of a cool environments like that, which is all that I could really ask for. Which we get another really cool one a little bit later on when we get the environment inside the train station. Love the initial drop down. The light comes in, eyes meet, and the moment they do, angry, like instantly, and then it's just charge. It's no build up. It's no let's talk beforehand. It's fucking go time the moment that you see somebody, and I think that's an excellent way for them to kind of do it. The choice of a narrator being used as well to explain abilities to kind of keep up pacing, and allow for us not to have to really go in depth with more things while we can still visually showcase things while we explain them, works very excellently. The only thing it does is slow it down a little bit, of course, because you need to kind of make time before they actually have something big and spectacular happen where they can kind of still explain what's happening. But I think the direction choice of using something like that is probably the best way that they could have gone about it, as opposed to, just stopping us completely and showing us a flashback of how it's done, or having the actual character explain it out himself, or go through through it in his head, and then he's actually doing nothing because we don't have to listen to that or his inner thoughts or anything. We're able to see him like actively moving around and doing things, which is really cool. The use of different kind of lighting and stuff that they're doing here is excellent too. I talked about throughout the episode too how much I enjoyed it. Just the colors that they can use here. Something that's so like lowly lit, but then being able to have these like very vibrant colors come out from the TVs and the panels and stuff in the background work really excellent at kind of giving off like extra kind of highlighting lights, which I think make certain shots like this, and then you just have like random streaks and stuff come in, look way better. And being able to have the outline on his hair be all purple here, and then the yellow in the background, and just the way that the colors kind of come together work perfectly, and they're very consistent and work well throughout the entirety of the fight. Josu's blood manipulation and stuff is pretty cool for what he can do. The fucking hand one, when he starts making like a fucking beam out of that stuff, is crazy, and actually just really fun to watch. And then some of the other abilities are pretty decent for what they are too, and it's also interested, I guess, just to note from the line that he comes from and what he's actually able or capable of doing and what his technique is similar to that third year that they mentioned before, which I thought was the case, because I remembered his fight with Megami being him using a similar type of thing, but I don't remember bro's name, and I can't remember the specifics of all that, but it made enough sense when they kind of brought that fully together. We gotta assume at some point, I keep saying it, so it's probably never gonna happen, but Itadori's gotta learn something outside of just like hand-to-hand combat at some point, right? Like, I mean, he doesn't have to, but it's always going to be something that kind of causes him to not be as strong going forward, because he lacks being able to do things from a distance and constantly has to close the gap and actually get his hands on his opponent as opposed to just doing anything else from a distance. We don't have to do that, I guess. Realistically, he can kind of learn other techniques and things to kind of protect himself or defend off things and then be able to close that gap and get closer. So I guess it's not necessary, but you gotta assume the dude would be a lot cooler of a character if he had some other stuff. Mechamaru shows back up. There's that. I didn't think that was going to be the case either. I'm assuming after he got crushed there too, he's probably gone for good now, as Itadori is the only one that we've actually seen have a possession of one of these things and actually in contact with it. So I'm assuming that's going to be the case here. Basically, they have a plan though, and they're going to use the water to kind of stop them, which makes plenty of sense. And I like the way that they kind of went about doing it. Also creates a really cool atmosphere for the two here when they kind of come face to face with each other right before this fight actually starts off. And then we have the blue background on one side and the red one on the other. This is the shot I was looking for, and being able to have them get into their pose. I also like just the angle choice of this and making it feel like it's kind of wrapped in a way, as opposed to just being like a straight on thing, almost like a fisheye in a way. I don't know the actual angular choice. It's similar to the way that they presented the key visual, I think, when they first announced this, if I remember correctly, with the both sides of the train basically. And I think like that's a very cool way for them to kind of showcase and present it. And then they go kind of crazy here with this, the absolute like craziness that they go through here to actually change and like use the constant smearing and the different like sketch outlines that they're kind of using here, but also being able to extend and change like the formation, I guess, the way that the bodies kind of look, which makes things really interesting and changes the style of all of this, of course, but it allows things to move in a bit more of a fluid motion where you can kind of keep track of what's going on at the same time as it's happening, without them having to go highly intensively into like detail and do things, which I think allows it to have its own charm in a way, which is actually really cool. They also make a lot of just interesting decisions. I've had my criticisms, and I still do, just the amount that we have to slow down certain things to get to other moments, and like, I mean, slow them down within the fight as opposed to just kind of actually letting things naturally progress. They do that still here, but it doesn't feel like it's interrupting completely like I felt on the past couple episodes with things happening, and it's done very well. Also because when the pacing kicks up, it really fucking kicks up, and they do an incredible job at constantly not keeping you focused on one thing and moving things around so much. So many different more difficult shots, I would say, that they are doing than they really have to do, but it allows things probably to be a little bit easier on them, and also just the fact that it creates something a bit more unique and interesting visually for us to kind of say. They also have a really good amount of different transitions like this, and then we have the one later with the eye and stuff that kind of come up, which I think is great. This moment too, when they get close together do the same thing is also just fun as hell. They do another. I'm not gonna be able to find it, but I think it's this moment where we go 3D again, and we did it before with a bunch of other ones. They were doing a really good job at using the CG first persons and mixing them in to make this a really interesting thing. Also, just the environment that we're in with the station and everything, using those works very excellent and actually very fitting for where it's supposed to be, which is great. But this whole sequence and the way that he kind of just wraps around it and they go full POV, which is awesome. Try to hit bro, he's just completely gets shattered, or doesn't get shattered. He's like literal glass. I don't even understand what was going on there. And then he basically is supposed to die. So this is the, I guess, the confusing part, or the part that's supposed to leave us like, what the fuck happened? Because I'm also in that camp of not knowing what happened. We get to see Sukuna for the first time when we assume that Yuji's going to end up being dead here at this point, which we know won't be the case, because if he does, realistically, Buddy's just going to take over his body. And also him getting hurt the way that he was, he'll be regenerated at some point. So we're not really worried about him. I never really am, if I'm being honest. The crazy part is when Choso starts going fucking crazy. He starts getting flooded with memories, things that never happened. We get to see all the boys out on a beautiful pasta date, right? And just having great time, the blooming of the friendship that they were all having in this bond. And then the fucking glass shatters and the illusion ends, and what is happening? So he is still going. He's not dead. Where he's going and what he's fucking doing, I don't know. Why that happened and what's driving him crazy, I also don't know. I believe it either has two things. One, it's because Sukuna is capable of something and is able to do something, which ended up causing this to happen. But I think the more likely one is Itadori probably is more capable and has things that we're not aware of, and he's capable of doing certain things. I don't know how or what, and I'm not even really going to get too much into that of what I think it could be, but I'd be under the impression that he kind of is capable of something here, because it seemed almost as if Sukuna, you know, when we did the thing with the flickering lights and stuff, as if he's out, but he's not really. Also being shocked, it almost seemed like he was for half a second there, like, oh, what the fuck, like I didn't think this was going to happen type of thing, and not understanding that completely, that this dude might be a little bit more capable than we actually thought. And so we sequence and we get those girls showing up here, and they are planning to take Yuji, which realistically, I at first I was like, this is stupid, because we just know that if Buddy's like really gone and they start like touching him or doing things, and Sukuna don't fuck with that, he'll just come out and fuck people up, because that's what he did literal last season, I'm pretty sure, at some point. But being with Geto and having this entire brilliant plan basically laid out for what they're doing here, I'm assuming there's a bit more into this and a bit more of a plan, besides, you know, something so simple. They understand what they are capable of doing, or what they are doing here, and it kind of makes sense. So we're going to take Yuji and we're probably going to bring him over to our side. What we're going to end up doing, or bring him over to their side, I guess, and whatever they're going to do with him and their plans are, I have zero idea, but I guess I am interested to see. I'm assuming we don't pick too much off with that next time, and we'll probably go a little bit more into like the Mei fight, or any of the other people that came along. Maybe they'll meet up with something like Nanami and others, I don't know. But I'm assuming we head towards that direction a little bit more, and then we end up seeing what happens there, which is very exciting, very fun, enjoyable episode. One of the better ones, I would say, of this season. I enjoyed the first arc like a ton. Like there was so much I actually like really loved about it. So it's hard for me to be like, oh, this is better than like certain ones of that. I don't know what it is. Just looking back on it, I'm like, it was so well put together. But at least from this arc specifically, easily the best one that's come out of it. So we're on the up, boys. We're on the up. I'm excited to see what comes next. If you liked it all, like and subscribe. Doing a lot to pay. Feel free to check out the other videos on the channel. Leave any comments about this episode or series. I'll be back for the 14th one next week. You guys have a good one. Peace.